poppin', y'all? It's your boy DJ The Don, and this is the lounge, and I'm very excited for this week. Why y'all laughing at my name? Why y'all laughing at my name?
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? Oh, it's the what's poppin'.
Okay,
yes, the what's poppin'. You know what I'm saying? You gotta bring confidence. See, that's y'all problem. Is that y'all trying to tear me down? We supposed to be really pretty like, they trying to tear me down.
If anything, we smiling because we're like, oh,
I can't handle
that's our DJ.
I can't handle this.
He's being confident. Oh,
we're so happy for him.
Oh my God! See, look, now you're gonna butter me up. Now you're gonna have me dropping a couple thug tears before I even get through the whole intro. So it's okay.
It's a bonding experience.
Oh, is it? We're bonding?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at us. We got our little dream.
So I am definitely, excited for this week. Got a couple of familiar faces, some friends of mine. I got Miss Shelby. I'm not saying the last name. You just Shelby.
My name is Shelby Surname.
Let's go.
Introduction of herself. She's not playing games today.
No.
And then I got the swag group, swag meister, wear the pajama pants with the boots on the bottom. Sometimes she dressed like a librarian, but nobody tells her any different. This is a Luxy banner.
This is the roast of
Oh yeah, I'm on your head because you just laughed at my intro. So, yeah.
What's up?
But I am definitely, excited this week. We're talking expectations. Expectations are, definitely something that our generation does face. I feel like we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves as far as expectations. And then we can get into like friends, family, all those things. But first, let's talk about your own expectations, like your wildest expectation that you just completely missed the mark. Like it ain't happened yet, or it just did not happen, and it was just like, oh, why did I even make that goal? Like why? Like what made me think that? So whoever wants to go first, I'm down. So
you go.
Me? Okay. I mean, I guess I'll just talk about it. I mean, again, one expectations, we've talked about this, was I wanted an Oscar when I was 24, and then I really just set that goal. I'm shocked that I put an age limit. It's 24, that's it.
And why 24? What was that number like?
I don't
Where'd you come up
know.
with that?
And how old were you when you made this goal?
Very young. I think I probably really young because I was 24.
I got time.
So long.
Yeah, I got time.
Now I'm 22 and I'm like,
there ain't no more time.
I got 2 years left. And I gotta run. But that was definitely one of them. But I made my whole speech. I had. I was
what's the speech?
Okay, who you thinking?
The speech.
My mom. My family, my mom, my sister.
Yeah, because your family gonna be mad. They be like, your mama.
I know. My sister's gonna be like, we were also in that car driving to Dallas. We were always there.
You were in the
we had to
backseat.
go to all those museums. So definitely my family, God, and then my manager and my agents. Because they were always
So you've had multiple, you have multiple agents, or you had multiple agents in your career?
When I was younger, I mean, in acting, you don't know what you're doing when you're so young. You were in the hands of adults. So for me, I definitely had some agents when I was 12, and I'm no longer with them, and I wish them luck. It just, I knew my goals, and I knew that I wanted to go further. And so for me, I was like, okay, this is it. But now I have steady and true agents where they believe in me and I believe in them, and I think that we can go the distance.
So what was the impact of an agent at a young age? You know what I'm saying? How did you pick your agent?
When I was young, I was anyone who wants me, anyone who likes me, anyone who thinks I'm believes in me. But then, there was points where it's I wouldn't get any auditions, nothing was coming in. What can I do? Taking acting classes or taking new headshots. Should I change my hair? Should I cut it? Should I dye it? You get into your looks of am I fat? Am I too and you're so young in thinking that, of
and you're still forming as a kid.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of changes happening.
Yes.
You got to keep up with that too.
When did you start acting?
I did theater when I was in 3rd grade up until 7th.
Okay.
And then, so I took singing and dance I did theater, but a
When
part
did you
of
start doing like commercial stuff?
up until
Or like film and like
that was like
professional
7th
stuff?
grade,
Okay.
so I was probably like how old is
probably like 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say 12 years old is
Yeah.
probably when I was like, I want to transition into film, and then
It's young.
yeah, really young. Again, your brain is still like forming
Yeah.
and like making decisions, and then you're also like, if I f up, like, oh my gosh, everyone's gonna hate me, and it's like you're 12.
Nobody
Why
cares.
would anyone hate you? You know.
I mean, it's a couple 12-year-olds I hate.
All of a sudden you're canceled. You know.
No one likes that.
But you're not angry at a 12-year-old for like not like bringing home the bills or something.
Yeah,
you know?
like making the
Oh,
money.
no.
Or like you're not mad. Like 12-year-olds should not have jobs.
I'm gonna tell you, like, my favorite show is Power, right?
Oh,
and so,
yeah.
like, little Tariq, he was 12 or 10 when he started that show. Everybody hated Tariq. He was 12. Like, everybody just believed in their soul that when they see Tariq, they was gonna whoop him like they were the parents. You know what I'm saying? That's a 12-year-old that
Like, get it.
that we hated. Like, we could not stand that kid. And then now that he's like a grown man, they've rewritten him to be a
Yeah.
hero, and everybody loves him. I was like, yeah, you still need your butt whooped. Like, I was just like,
He's grown. He changed.
he's like 21. Yeah, when I see you.
Actors putting in the work.
Yeah, that's what I was like. He's a cold actor for someone to hate him at a young age.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's developed
He's
very
put in
well.
that
You know what I'm
work. He's put
saying?
in
That's
that
crazy.
Well, also, I mean, good actor for him for making you feel that way.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
Exactly.
like,
Exactly.
oh, you were hating him.
Oh,
He
I
must
want to
like
square
doing
up with
his
the.
job.
I've never wanted to square up with a 12-year-old so much, and I was a grown man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, well, I'm gonna throw hands with him if I see him on the streets. You know?
Oh, man.
That is hilarious.
But you also started young.
Yeah, we're both kind of child actors, which is horrifying for our psyches. But I started doing dance when I was like 2, and I did that until about like 12. And then I was just in like musical theater camps and like all of that stuff. I was in like a bunch of extracurriculars. I did piano for a little bit. I've always been all over the place. So like when I think about, okay, goals that I put on myself, I didn't have the forethought to have like a time frame for it. I was just like, oh no, like I'll figure this out. I'll accomplish it. And like to an extent, I think the inner child in me is still like, no, I'll figure it out in some way. So I remember like, I think this was in high school, I had written like a bucket list and it was like host SNL, but also perform at ACL. Also like direct and produce a film that goes to South by. Like all of this like crazy stuff. But I think in like ways I've accomplished like parts of those, which is like comforting. I also like, I think when I was thinking about like colleges when I was a kid, I really wanted to go to Stanford. That was like my goal, but I didn't know about student loans then.
Don't worry.
I
When
didn't
I was
know how-
younger, I wanted to go to New York and go to like Juilliard
Oh, my
and all of those high end. And then I was like, oh wait a minute, you gotta pay for that.
Yeah.
And I
Or they
don't
find
live there.
you at birth. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, oh yeah, you're like predestined for Juilliard. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
exactly. Well, and then like I realized throughout high school that traditional academics is maybe not my strongest suit as much as I love learning, but I probably just had really undiagnosed ADHD the entire time, and I was like, oh, that's why homework gives me like crippling anxiety.
Or tests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually better at like in-class essays or like tests because it like gave me a time frame and it was like done.
Yeah.
But if you gave me like a project, I would sit there and panic about it for like ages and ages.
So
and
like
ages.
hybrid classes probably were the worst because you have to be responsible enough to get online and do the class in the first place.
Yeah, luckily we didn't have that many when I was in high school, but like anything that was like a self-paced like big project, I would just like, I would sit and paralyzed in fear. So like a lot of that stuff, you know, has put like, I think I like grew up and I realized that I have those struggles and, you know, yeah, that's like put some expectations not fulfilled. I did not go to Stanford, but I'm very happy with where I did go to college, and I did go to college.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to St. Edward's.
Okay.
And I also graduated high school when I was 16. So yeah, I was not moving to California by myself. That literally was not gonna happen.
Right. Are you from
And-
Austin?
Yeah, I'm from Austin.
Okay.
So I ended up staying in town because that was just like,
Yeah.
that
It's a
was,
comfort thing too.
it was a comfort thing. It was just like safer. I think I would have died at a state school at 16 years old across the country. Are you kidding me? Like I know I am self-aware enough to know that would have been a bad idea, and that I would have drowned. So, you know, I made the choice to go to a smaller school.
You don't think you would have finished school if you would have went to school and
I don't even think it's that I wouldn't finish school. I think that I would have just been like so scared, and I think I might have struggled with making friends or like finding my people or finding a community, and that's super important to me. So going to a smaller school made that a lot
where
easier.
you're familiar as well.
Yeah, and like I really like that I walked around campus and like knew everyone there. That was nice. And I think that I think just like that wouldn't.
But does going to a small school shape you for the real world? You know what I'm saying? So
I mean,
when
that's true.
when you go to a big university, you're like a small piece, and oftentimes in the real world, you're a small piece in this big chessboard. So you know, does it truly, you know, college is supposed to get you ready for the real world. It's supposed to. Those are always.
No, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But did that truly give you the expectations that when you graduated college, like, oh, I'm totally ready, like I'm gonna kill this?
No, honestly, like I think that's something I'm working on right now. I am working on trying to move out of here, like, because you've never lived anywhere other than Texas, right?
My dad's military.
Oh, you have.
So you moved all over.
Yeah, I was born in Iowa. We went to Texas. We went to, I believe, North Carolina, and then we came back to Texas.
Okay.
So like I moved around all over.
Okay, see, I haven't, and that's like that's something that I'm like literally trying to mentally prep myself for right now. And I've just kind of like accepted that that's a journey that I'm going to go on right now, and that I wasn't ready to go on before, and that's okay.
Right.
Like that's just how it is.
Yeah, I think it was okay at 16 you being like, hey, no.
Well, and I like found
How
a
dare you
place,
not
and
grow
I,
up?
like,
You know?
I found my people, and it's hard to leave that. But yeah, I'm working on it. You know, I do think there's a lot of. I think you are a lot like you've been a lot more self-assured about your goals. Like whenever we've talked about acting and stuff, I love hearing that like when you were a kid, you were like, no, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And I think when I was a kid, I also was like, yeah, I can do that. But so much self-doubt creeps in when like in your adolescence, or at least for me, it did. And I was like, I don't know. And so I've been like caught up in, I don't know if I can do that. And especially when it comes to like I really want to direct, and we've talked about this. We're like, we both really want to direct and produce and write. But that's something that like is new, and I like feel a lot of self-doubt about because it's a position of like power and control versus like acting is something that I'm now familiar with because I've done it as a kid. And yes, it's scary, but also it is like you are within someone else's control, which is like, it sounds kind of wacky, but like you're taking direction, right? Like you have other people's words, and I think like finding that authority has been really like scary, I think, in my adolescence, to like feel assured in doing something that I have authority in, and like that's mine.
Yeah.
Right.
I think is like that's I think my next goal.
Yeah.
So like taking these crazy goals that I've had as a kid and making them like my own now, I think is maybe how I'm going to translate those things.
Right. Right. To where it's like still not a crazy goal. I'm still working on. I'm still still under construction on these.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I get that. You know, you're about to learn a lot about DJ from outside of work. You've already seen me a little bit outside of work, but it's two different DJs, as you can see. But you know, when I was younger, I'm still am. I'm a dreamer. I'm a complete dreamer.
Yeah.
You know, I want to accomplish every goal that I've ever thought of. You know what I'm saying? And when I was younger in school, I was a mini entrepreneur out the gate because, you know, we used to resell these burritos. We'll go to this. We had a half day because I went to a tech school half of the school day. So we'll go, me and my friends, go buy some burritos. We'll resell them to the people that hated school lunch for double the price that we paid for. You know, and they'll buy them. We sold out every day. You know what I'm saying? We came up. You know, but we got to a point where I really wanted to sell apparel. Like I really wanted to sell hats. And I was 16, and I had my initials on them. You know what I'm saying? And people bought them. It was weird.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people bought them. And then after that, you know, I started Outsiders. I started Outsiders at an early age. Started at 17.
Okay.
And we was just like a small little radio show, like a little, kind of like a podcast setup, but we only had like 5-6 listeners, and we were like, what are your goals or whatever? And I was like, we're gonna interview Lecrae, we're gonna interview Drake, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it was weird though, because I wanna say 3 years later, we interviewed Lecrae, and then we interviewed my favorite artist, Andy Mineo, and KB, and all these guys, and never interviewed Drake. Like, listen, it's still on the list. We're still working on that.
We're working
you know
on
what I'm
it.
saying?
It's okay.
Hopefully we get him before he's 50. You know? But, you know, I'm never at a place where I want to feel like I'm limiting myself based on accomplishment. The only goal that I have not hit, well, hold on, wait, I got a year left. No, 2 years left. How old am I? Like, at the age of 30, I used to tell myself I wanted to be a millionaire, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was just something that I felt like was attainable, you know, like 30 years old. I see a lot of successful people at 30. I don't see them at 20. I see them at 30. Mm-hmm. And then you grow up and you see, one, that there are millionaires at 20. You know what I'm saying? You be like, oh.
Get into crypto.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
And I'm sitting there, I'm just like, how am I not making no money? And these fools is 22, 21 years old making millions of dollars. You know, what am I doing wrong? Then you
Because
get
the playing field's not fair.
Yeah, well, I know that now. I know that now. You know, but it's just like all these things that used to make me second guess as far as like, you know, my own expectations. And now we're at this point where we're starting over again. I'm a person that I'm okay with starting from scratch. I'll take a little break, 6 months, 8 months, reevaluate the goals and hit them 100%. I don't want to do them 50%. I want to do them 2%. We got to do them 100% so we can get maximum effort for maximum results. And if the results do not meet the expectations, then okay, cool. At least we did it 100%. Yeah. So I've done, you know, whether it was playing football or if it was culinary or if it was restaurant manager, that's why I'm at work. I'm intense. I'm like, it's 100%, no zero, because I feel like I have to. You know, I don't like bringing, you know, my race into certain things, but like, again, we talk about playing field. The playing field is not fair. So therefore, when it comes to some of the things that I have to do, I have to exude extra energy, extra passions that I feel like some people don't have to. And sometimes that can be a lot, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, oh, if the playing field was real, I can just show up to work, my shirt wrinkled, not care, you know what I'm saying, and still get the same promotion because it was predestined anyway. But I don't have that. Yeah. So, you know, it's just, you know, one of those things where, you know, I have to carry myself to that expectation, carry myself to a certain standard. And, you know, I'm going to hit those goals no matter what. It doesn't make me no difference. I mean, either I'm going to have the support, you know, I'm proud to have like my friends in the background where they're completely supportive of me, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's just one of those things where expectation, like my own expectation is going to lead to those goals. So. No, we actually it's different when you know the guests. When you don't know the guests, it's when it get all awkward. You know what I'm saying? But I always try to bring in people I know. Now it's funny because I walk into the whole thing, everybody gets clenched tight, like everything.
Bro, I've already getting tight. Bro, every single time we just pick up like, what do you want?
Like what I do? Am I in trouble?
What do you want?
Have you ever, like, you know, when black mamas walk in, they walk in your room, and then they just walk back out and say nothing? That's like me at the whole thing.
Every single time.
I want the whole thing. I don't want to sit to like.
What do you want?
We kind of talked about, you know, the impact of your managers and, you know, the expectation that you kind of had growing up. How was the expectation for, you know, family? You know, growing up, did you feel like you had a lot of weight on your shoulders to succeed, you know, from family, or was it just like, oh, you were just like in this great environment to where, you know, you were just able to strive and grow at your own pace?
I am very lucky with my parents. Supreme, like top tier lucky with my parents and my sisters. They are so giving and patient, especially with me. I think every actor out there, a little bit crazy, you know, just a tad bit. So they take my craziness and they understand it and are very patient and giving. So much so that like I never felt pressured. If anything, they believe in me more than I think sometimes I do. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's the thing. I put expectations for myself, and I'm like, oh my God, and they're like, calm down, you gotta breathe, you know. Right. I was also lucky in the fact of like, I knew what I wanted to do is just getting there. Mm-hmm. You know, I knew from, like Lexi said, a very early age, so much that my parents were like, oh, well, we'll homeschool you. You can do acting, and my mom was a teacher, and you're gonna be homeschooled, you know? And then you can also do what you love, and you can also just learn from
How long
home.
were you homeschooled?
I was homeschooled 7th grade up until senior year. So I graduated.
Graduated homeschool. Mm-hmm. So how did that impact, you know, it's like obviously the cliche thing that comes with being homeschooled, like the social aspect.
Oh yeah, where it's like, you're really weird, you're really awkward. Luckily, people are shocked when I say that I'm homeschooled, just because I am so,
Yeah. Like free spirited.
yeah. But I definitely think that like I wish, a part of me wishes that I did have like the experience of it, like an actual.
You ain't missing that.
I know, that's what everyone tells me. And luckily enough, like I had a job. I was on a web series called Scam Austin, where they were in high school. So basically, I did have like a little prom
class,
and
yeah.
like, you know, classes. I just acted in it.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
But like I was a year behind in my schoolwork. So I didn't graduate on time. I graduated,
Yeah.
but I didn't graduate on time. School was just never a priority for me. It was not something that I loved doing. I wanted to do other things, and my family knew that. They were like, "Get your degree. We're not going to push you to do college." I pushed myself to do it because there was an expectation with the world of, well, you need to go to school and you need to do this and you need to do that, and then you can, you know, do that.
Sure.
And it was like, oh, well, that's what I have to do because like everyone else is doing it. So I can't be different. I can't be weird.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, I get academic probation because I'm on set and I'm not, you know, focusing on the school.
And that's why you kind of got to look at it as a positive that you actually was homeschooled, because if you was in school doing that, they would have. It would have been a major
CPS.
pay. Yeah, CPS. On top of that, you probably be suspended every week, and then on top of that, you know, you couldn't get scholarships because your attendance weren't where it was supposed to be. You know, like that's a blessing at the end of the day, because like
So much.
my sister, like, you know, literally had issues like with attendance, and it was due to like, you know, just her taking personal days, and with her taking personal days, it just literally led up to, oh yeah, like. You can't get degree. I mean, you can't get this scholarship. You can't get this scholarship. It's like she taking personal days, and I think that schools, just like work has like mental health days. Schools should have something like that. Like after 10, like 5 to 10 mental health days, you know what I'm saying? Like then we'll start tracking attendance. Just because of the simple fact that like you never know what a kid is facing.
Yeah.
And you don't know what environment they're in. You don't know what mentally they're dealing with. And it's just like, oh yeah, you just need 90% attendance. Like nobody want to be at that school 90% of the time. And we're there all day. And the teachers don't even like the kids. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, and also I would get sick all the time in school. Oh my gosh, so sick. I'd be throwing up everywhere.
Oh God, what?
Yes, I swear to God. My school was so gross. I was like, Jesus. So also that, like, at least in like public school when I went, I was like, oh my God. And I was also very skinny too. I was just like, ugh. Because I was just like, you had to wake up early. You had to do all your schoolwork. If you didn't do it, then like shame on you.
Yeah.
I was also bullied. I was like, ugh.
Who was not bullied in school at this
I know,
point?
I'm like,
I should have been bullied more, I think.
Especially for this.
No, I know. Well, no, okay, no. Let me set the scene for my high school.
No,
I entered high school. I skipped 2 grades. I entered high school when I was 12.
Yeah, that's wild.
I should have been stuffed in lockers. Instead, I stuffed myself in the lockers before anyone else could.
you're like, I got y'all.
No, I'm not even, I'm genuinely not kidding. I had to I was like, let me make fun of myself first.
Yeah.
And then no
one
one
messed
could
with
do
you.
it. No one messed with me. Also, I think people just took pity on me, or I was just like too out of it to
Maybe they just
understand
thought
that
that they
people
knew
were
that you
bullying
were
me.
already young.
I was like, oh yeah, I think it feels like punching down.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're literally 13. I'm not gonna bully a 13-year-old. I'm 18 years old.
Exactly.
That feels like punching down.
Exactly.
So I got out of it. I also went to a
You gotta hit them with
magnet
that. You're
school.
going to jail. You go ahead and bully them.
Yeah, I was like, this is child endangerment. Well, okay, and on top of that, I went to a magnet school, which is just a bunch of nerds together.
Oh,
so
okay.
we're all
Social classes the same.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
there was some cool nerds out there.
Opposite situation. When I was talking about I would be in crippling anxiety for my homework. I was put on I don't know if I was on academic probation, but I definitely like.
Well,
they-
academic
I, like,
probation
had
was
to-
college because I tried to do that and I was like,
There was a semester where like it once in like speaking about like family. So my parents got divorced literally right before I went into high school. I was like 11 or 12, and like my dad basically walked out on us, and that was. I'm an only child. That was really, really, really stressful, and it was such. Like, it was a crazy time. And, like, I honestly have, like, gaps in my memory from those years because I just, like, don't remember because it was just a lot.
Yeah. You kind of train yourself to forget.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
and also because my mom is not from America. She's from Thailand. And, like, she's fluent in English, but that rocked her world. And so I started taking over, like, checking, like, bank accounts and, like, making sure that everything was okay and, like, just, like, helping out with bills on top of, like, not money-wise,
Financially,
but just,
yeah.
like, just
Bookkeeping.
making sure that, like, and also because she was, like, so hurt. She was going through a traumatic lifetime, like, period, where her spouse that she thought she was going to spend the rest of her life with and raise her kid with cheated on her and left.
Yikes.
Yeah. Anyways, but back to me being a gremlin. No, but like, and so like that happened, and then I went to this extremely competitive, like high school environment where everyone was like wanted to go to Harvard and have like I didn't understand that my SAT score was actually good after high school because everyone that I knew had perfect SAT
yeah.
scores. So I was like average. I was like fine.
Like I can get
didn't-
accepted in most schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that because everyone I knew had perfect scores, and so I compared myself to them.
Yeah, they were going to Stanford.
They were going to Stanford, yeah, literally, and like, it was such a toxic environment, and like, I was taking APs, and everyone was just like really cagey about like school. They'd be like, oh, like what'd you get on that test? Like, okay, like super toxic environment. I was in like rehearsals until 9 p.m. every day, and then I had 5 hours of like schoolwork. And it's also just like crazy looking back. I was like, why did I do that? Literally, why did I do that?
So who decided to put you in that school?
I went to a magnet middle school. So
It was only right to put you in a magnet high
well,
school.
it fed into it, and I wanted to stay with my friends, and I wanted to stay with like the same like program. So that's like it was partially me. There was a point my like sophomore year where I like wasn't doing super well, and I like did want to leave and actually I wanted to go to McCallum because I went to LASA.
Oh, okay.
And I was gonna go to McCallum because it was fine arts based, but then I was like, whatever, I'll just like finish it out. And like academics was always important to like my family because like I did acting and when I was a kid, and then I kind of like took a break from it because especially because my parents were like, if you're not having fun, like you don't have to do it. And I was having fun and I liked it, but I was like, I'm so young. I don't know why. I was such a pretentious kid too. But I was like, I'm so young. Like, I don't want to lock myself into like one thing. Like, I want to be able to explore everything and like have like well-rounded skills. So I was like, I want to commit to school and I like want to have a degree and I like want to do well and learn a bunch of stuff. But it was definitely a lot. And I wish I could like go back and like hug my younger self because like, as stressed out as you think that I am like now, like this is like
Why you putting words in my mouth?
No, but like that's like
Like you should have seen me back
you should
then.
have seen me back then. Like and that's funny because I look back and I'm like, oh no, I literally have always been like this. Like I've not changed in a certain way, but yeah, like high school's hard, and so I'm glad you did what you wanted to do for you.
It's all thanks to my family. Like literally,
Yeah.
it's all thanks to just my mom and dad. Like to be like, because some people would be like, no, you're going to school. Like we're not doing that. They don't have the time, the energy. Like, but my mom was like a teacher, so
Yeah.
she
She knew.
knew what to do.
Yeah, and like sometimes I regret that I didn't do that, but then I also like didn't have like.
But the thing
like
was,
my mom couldn't facilitate that for me.
I feel like the only reason we did that, at least for me, was like, oh my gosh, if I get booked when I'm young, and I have to do school,
we
I
out,
can just take it with me and
Yeah.
go. But then I didn't book when I was that young, So
Yeah.
really, it was like, why did I do this?
I mean, it's you you are the person that you are now
Yeah.
because of your past, and you can't like.
Definitely can't change it, and
You
I
can't
do,
change that.
and I do like loved it because my bond with my family is super close.
Sure.
My two sisters were also homeschooled. As soon as I left and graduated, they went to public school.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, one's
Real
gone. We got to jump ship right now. Like, so it was like, oh, okay. It was just very interesting transition
funny.
of
I didn't
like
know that.
graduating and then going.
Man, high school was tough for me, man. It was wild. Like, I mean,
What you were selling?
You were selling. You were entrepreneur.
I mean, no, listen, like my first 2 years were tough because my mom moved me to the suburbs, like move us from the city.
Where are you from?
I'm from Kansas City, Missouri.
Right.
So, I'm just used to, I honestly, before high school, I ain't never seen so many white people in one area. Like, it was just wild. Like, and then I moved to Austin, where white people everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But, we literally, I'm going to high school and, you're dealing with social issues that you didn't think you had to endure. Like, it's stuff that you read in your book, but you didn't think that was really going to be a real thing. Oh, yeah, they facing racial laws and racial issues. Like, I never get called the N-word. I'll never, deal with like the dark humor of racist like jokes and, oh, my mom won't let me date you because you're black type stuff. Like, just all type of stuff. It's just like, and then it's wild because then we fast forward now and everybody dating black people. It's just odd. I'm like, did your parents feel the same way? Probably. But it's just like wild that it was so much learning that I had to learn as far as socially. We had enough black people to like fit in a corner, so we just call it like our black people corner, like literally, just because it wasn't that many of us. You know what I'm saying? And then, like the school that we went to, I guess I don't even know if they were actually used to having that many black people at one time. Like to the fact that like they couldn't handle certain situations. They didn't know how to de-stress a black person. They didn't know how to show patience, you know what I'm saying? And when you go back to a public school, it's a gang of, so they know that you probably can't say these words. You shouldn't feel threatened. You shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? But like all this is happening at one time. And so it's just like dealing with that and then going home. And my mom put me through private school in the inner city before I went to high school. So like my mom had high expectations. If I had a C, I'm grounded. So with the TV upstairs, yada, yada, yada. Like,
My phone got taken away a lot of times.
And so because of I didn't get a phone until I was a junior in high school. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, my mom had to track me everywhere.
Yeah, that would be my mom.
Was like,
she had a cell phone.
yeah.
That's all. I just might as well
That was
just
the only reason I had.
I might as well use a house phone at that point.
Yeah.
It's just my mom worked nights. My little sister were 4 years apart, and I had to like watch her most of the time, and I didn't have time to actually be a young adult or a teen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like I started working at 15, 16 years old. Not because I had to pay any bills, but because I felt like it was the next step of life. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, oh yeah, like I gotta get a job, I'm gonna pay for my own stuff. I go back on it, man. Like my little sister, she figured out the game plan, bro. She ain't had to pay for nothing until recently. Like she's 20 something years old. She figured it out. I was like, bro, why did I not use her template? Because I just felt like I had to move out and I had to do this and I had to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that some of the rules don't apply as far as me and my little sister, just because the oldest, you sometimes have to hold that standard. But it's just one of those things where I put a lot of expectations on myself. My parents put a lot of expectations on me. They wanted me to succeed. My mom didn't go to college, but she worked her behind off to get to a point where she was making good money, you know what I'm saying? And she was like, I don't want you to be like me where I had to work 10 years at a company just to get to the point. I was like, yeah, I probably gotta work half. Yeah. I was like, it ain't like I'm gonna be a GM in a year or like a CEO in 2 years. No, it ain't that. Probably half the time, but I didn't learn how to be like having fun until college. Yeah. Like I got to college and I was wild. I was tripping, because I got to leave the house. I ain't had no curfew. I moved with my friends. You know what I'm saying?
Sense of freedom.
Oh yeah, it was the first thing. But I was a responsible like person though. Like
You're the responsible friend.
I was a responsible friend, and I hated it though, because I hated babysitting when I'm out. Like, what do you mean I gotta carry you up the steps? Like, what do you can't walk?
You better get up.
Yeah, let's go. Get up, you know what I'm saying? I was always the DD. I was always, and I think
I didn't even cut loose till after college because I was 16.
Yeah.
Like I didn't party at all until after college.
Yeah, I think my mom for being so tough and making me so responsible because of the fact that, if I didn't have all these core values, I would have probably been wild and I probably wouldn't have finished college. There were times that I got off kilter. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say I never failed a class in college or something like that. But at the same time, like, I knew how to bring it back. I was like, all right, that's out of control. That's one semester. Let's chalk that up as an L. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get back on track. Because my mom straight threatened me with the, hey, man, you don't graduate, I'm suing you. That's straight what she said. Like,
Oh my god.
because I thought about changing my major to like journalism or something. But I had to finish culinary school. Culinary school.
Culinary school. Okay.
And so, you know, I was like, Mom, I don't think I'm in it anymore. I don't want to do it no more. She's like, no, you don't finish, I'm suing you. So you figure that out right now. Like, you know, I was like, okay, I got like, I was like, bet. And then I just finished school like as fast as possible.
That's true.
Yeah, I was just like, I just loaded all my classes, just got them over with. Like, you know, but, you know, my family, I will say my mom put a lot of pressure, but at the same time, like, it was pressure that I needed because there's certain people that can stick through pressure and there's some people that can't. And to get me ready for this real world, that pressure had to be applied. You know what I'm saying? If my mom, you know, was kind of soft-spoken or at a point of like being overly supportive, it wouldn't have geared me to be in the position I am today just because like this world is tough. They're not going to be soft with words. They're not going to say, oh, well, I really would love if you do this. It's like, nah, bro, like we need you to do this so your job is gone. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it has both of its drawbacks. And I hope that like the listeners hear that, like, you know, just because your parents put you through certain things does not mean that, you know, they are bad people or they weren't looking out for your best interest. Sure they were, and some of the methods may be messed up. Like I can air out some stuff. If it was to be that, but they were learning just like we were learning. Like they were our age. Like look at where we were at. You know, 'cause my mom straight threatened me with the, hey man, you don't graduate, I'm suing you. That's straight what she said. Like,
Oh my god.
just because I thought about changing my major to like journalism or something, but I had to finish culinary school.
Culinary school. Okay.
And so, you know, I was like, Mom, I don't think I'm in it anymore. I don't want to do it no more. She's like, no, you don't finish, I'm suing you. So you figure that out right now. Like, you know, I was like, okay, I got like, I was like, bet. And then I just finished school like as fast as possible.
Is like crazy.
Yeah, yo.
Is like so weird because you're like, oh yeah, no, they're humans and they make mistakes and they don't have all the answers. And like, I think I saw glimpses of that. Like it it first broke like when I was going into high school, my parents like divorced. I was like, wait, what? Like parents divorce?
Yeah.
Like I was shocked. And then kind of like in my 20s, I think I'm doing a lot of like forgiving of like all of that pressure that your parents
that you even apply through. But what about the pressure that you apply to them?
And and that too of like you like.
What you mean you ain't got it all together?
Yeah.
What you mean you ain't got all the
or
answers?
like, I was such a brat. Like I totally own up to being a brat about stuff. Where like I still am a brat.
You don't say.
That I'm fully self-aware of. But yeah, like
that's
just
the first
step. Forgiving them for all the shit you put them through as a kid.
Yeah.
Or you're like, why do I have to do this? I hate you. You're doing so much.
See, I couldn't do that because my head would be knocked all the way.
I was gonna say right now, I would probably be like, "What did you just say?"
Before I say I hate it, my head is over there.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
just like to say something.
Absolutely, there were belts.
Yeah,
I
belts involved.
was just feisty. I just dodged.
You had your head on a swivel.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm just agile.
My reflexes got so good, man. When my mom put me through boxing, and then she put me through like football,
good.
and so then she started doing that, and then she started kicking because she got tired of the belt getting caught.
Oh,
like I just catch the belt, I'm like, no, you ain't hitting me. She was like, you know what? Wow.
She was like, I got legs.
She adapted. She's like, oh yeah, I gotta start just beating him up like a dude.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing, I mean, like you said, you have to be able to forgive, your parents. I mean, yeah, when you're younger, you have a high expectation for them because they're supposed to have all the answers. Mm-hmm. When you get older and you start evaluating where they were at your age, the time and the age that they grew up, and then the age that you are now. Yeah. How in the world were they supposed to have all the answers and you don't even know?
They didn't have Google.
Yeah, they didn't have Google. They didn't have Google. You know what I'm saying?
YouTube tutorials. There's nothing.
Nothing. They ain't even got LinkedIn. They ain't got Indeed to apply some places. They going into the spot. But it's just you have to meet them where they're at. And I think that like went a long way to me and my pops. My pops, was kind of in and out of my life, and it had to take like a lot of forgiving and a lot of understanding that like my pops went through a lot. You know what I'm saying? And my pops, although he wasn't active, like sure he could do better, and he knows that. But at the end of the day, like as long as we can start here, and we progress forward. Like we got the rest of our life. Like I'm 20 something.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't have like, oh my dad type stuff when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like we can start here and move forward, and we can like as long as we don't try to backtrack and try to go back then and try to get the memories back because they're never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All you can do to heal that is like you be the father that you wish
To
you
your
wanted.
kids.
You know,
Yeah.
like that's
That's a whole different.
You
That's
know,
if
I mean,
I was
that's like- that's
that's
the
if I
whole
was to
thing.
have kids. You know?
exactly, or be that person
Sure.
to yourself. You know, like, and that's it's like something that I'm definitely like working.
Because I was
now.
so when I was younger, I was just like so bitter to like, why do I have to be the adult? He's the parent. He's
Yeah.
this. He's that. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, man, you gonna say so much more peace if you just let it go. Let it go and just meet them where they at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not saying that they're just like a disappointment, but it's just like, why are you
And like kids,
putting all these
you don't
emotions?
like, you don't like have empathy like that, you
No,
know,
because you don't have answers.
Because you don't have perspective either. Because
Yeah.
you're like, and everything is so dramatic when you're a kid.
'Cause it's like your
everything
world.
is life and death. Like if your crush texted you, it's like life and death. Like it's so intense when you're a kid, so you don't like step back. And
And
Like-
it's not like any life situation you can base it off of. Just
yeah,
because it's just-
exactly, because you don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, I think like forgiving yourself for putting expectations on yourself, on your parents, like it's some 20-somethings, 30-somethings work, you know? Like,
Netflix hit us up.
like this is, girl, a therapist hit us up.
Yeah, we can work on it. You know,
We're working on it. We're healing.
We'll bring the therapist into the lounge. Don't worry about that. We'll get that going. That's wild. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about, social media, the impact of social media and the expectations that come with it. You know, obviously growing up in this era, social media kind of mans everything. It's the demand of everything. I feel like I wish I was more adult in the 90s just because it was not that high of an expectation. I'm not gonna go high like, oh my God, I wish I was in the 60s and 70s. Hell no. Hell no. But hey, the 90s though. Because there was zero, pressures of social situations. I think the biggest achievement was like, oh, I'm in the newspaper. You know what I'm saying? Yo, that's crazy. But when you have to get on social media and you have to kind of, you kind of catch yourself kind of either emulating or comparing yourself to somebody in a similar journey as you, and they can even be friends, and sometimes, it'd be an issue because you're like, dang, like, what is that? Deep down, like, for my friends, I'm actually very happy for my friends. But at the end of the day, it's like, dang, like, what's the template? And there's really not one because everybody's journey is different. So how does social media kind of, affected your expectations, or how has expectations affected social media?
You want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, like you're gonna start comparing yourself to people. I think that's like my most like unevolved brain is comparing myself to other Instagrams and all of that, and like it's hard. It's so hard, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself to be this way or that way, but like, oh my God, social media is fake, and oh my God, thank God for the mute button. I think that's one thing that I'm proud of, is that like, I think the past like 2 years, I have learned to just, if there is like an account or a person that like I keep habitually comparing myself to, or like, I don't know, that I like hyperfixate on, I'll say this after, but there are people that I have muted that I'm friends with.
It's like,
that
you're gonna see 'em.
I won't see their posts anymore because I'll hyperfixate that they're like booking more than me.
Yeah.
Or that they're more successful, and like just like all of it, that they have more than me. And I literally just have to mute myself from it so that I don't see it, and it has helped tremendously,
Yeah.
because then I just don't see it like constantly. But then also on the like other side is, and like we talked about this too, where like I felt like I had a really good year last year, and I felt like I booked a lot, and I was really proud of a lot of the projects that I did, but a lot of and I posted like a year in review, and I was like proud of everything that I did, but I think a lot of people will interpret things differently than they are, or like think that they're bigger than they are. Not to say that I'm not proud of the work that I've done, but like a lot of people will like message me and be like, oh my God, Luxy, like you're doing so good. And I mean, yes, it's on one hand a problem of like me not being proud of my own work, but it's also like, yes, but like that hasn't like fundamentally changed my life in a certain way, or like
I'm not seeing the results.
like not even that, but just like once you do a project, it doesn't mean that like you do a project and it's like it's done. You know, like I don't know if you like relate to this, but it's like, yeah, like you can do a project and feel great about it in the moment, and then like, you know, it is a stepping stone towards other things, but like what you see on camera for acting and stuff, like that's one thing, and it's like that process is also really slow. So I can film something 2 years ago and it comes out like now or in a year, and there's been time in between then that it hasn't like, I don't know. So point of the story, I'm like rambling,
Well,
but like
also I think, like,
you only see a snippet.
I mean, when you're acting, you're taking take after take after take after take, and they choose one.
Yeah.
So when you see it, I'm sure it's like, I know I did a take, and I think it was better than that one.
Yeah.
You know, like you get in your head, and you're like, oh my God, was that the take? Like, was that
Yeah.
really the best one? And for them, it was the best one for the film.
Yeah.
And also, if it has been a year or two, you've grown.
Yeah.
So
it's like you know,
much.
you'll post something and then like years will go by and you're still living your life like normally, but it's like, whoa, wow, you're doing so good. That's so great. And like then even with like praise and stuff, I mean, this is just like I have trouble accepting praise, but like I feel sort of like a cognitive dissonance between like what people perceive me as on social media sometimes and like who I am, and I have to focus. It's also like important to me to like be honest on social media that like, yeah, obviously you're seeing my highlights. Like I'm also crying in my bed. Those things coexist, and like, like me feeling mentally healthy and like looking like successful on social media, like are not the same thing.
Right.
You know? So I think like that, I have to remember that in myself and in others of like, yeah, other people can post their highlights and still have down days. It doesn't mean their life is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can relate to that because I kind of go back to before I moved to Austin. You know, I was recently, I mean, not recently anymore, but at that time I was going through like a really tough breakup, and it was my first time in 2 to 3 years where I stayed alone. And so when you have to re-identify yourself and find your own identity and things like that, it was like weird because I felt like I stayed in a new apartment. I was kind of claustrophobic in my own home because it kind of felt like the walls were shrinking. And I don't know what made me want to do it, but I did a photo shoot, and it was during Mental Health Month. And so I took a mental health shoot, and it was my way of coping or venting with whatever what was going on.
Like a creative outlet.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And when I say that everybody on social media was like, bro, like this is dark and this is this and this is that, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, but this is how I feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And as a creative, like we put how we feel. We're not here to impress you. We're not here to be. And I had to grow to that because it used to be a time where I'm like, oh, I need to perceive myself this way. I need to be happy. I need to be this. And it's just like, no, like this is who I am every day. Like I have emotions. I have up and down days. I have days where I don't want to do anything today. I have days that I'm just on a cloud 9. Yeah. And social media needs to see that because we talked about last week relationships. You only see a box of, you know, somebody's relationship.
It's so easy to you're like, well, they're doing this, and it's
Relationship
like,
goals.
like relationship goals, like material. Oh my God, you guys are so perfect. And it's like, like obviously we fight, like obviously whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But that's like normal.
But we don't
That's
display.
totally
But we don't
fine.
display the fights, and so therefore the people when they get in a relationship, they think they ain't gonna have no argument, or they get into situations where they feel like situations should be like a fairy tale, and it's not. Like you're not gonna. Not every man is going to take you to Brazil. You know what I'm saying?
Literally,
Not every man is going to buy you a room full of roses.
Oh my
'cause roses
God,
are
I
expensive.
feel like the Twitterification of relationships has been horrid.
If he wanted to, he would.
Like, well, and also the like, did he
Listen,
get
my
you?
mind tell me I want to, but my pockets.
You know, I was like, honestly, like, did he get you this? If he wanted to fly you to Brazil, he would. Leave him, sis. And it's like
just
whoa,
communicate.
like literally
Just communicate.
Like,
Tell me
man,
that you want to go to Brazil.
like
so we can put out a
sometimes
year or
Or
two
just be
plan
like,
to go.
hey, yeah, exactly. Just just be like, hey, this is on my bucket list or something. I'd love to travel. Let's save up. Let's do that.
It'll hit you with, we
Instead
going
of
when
being
we're
like,
50.
this is all your fault.
Well, but it's like, do you want a man that just flies you out, that just gives you gifts, that just is like, here's
And
diamonds,
missing everything
you know,
else.
and then, but is not there for you when
Yeah.
you're like having a crisis, or is like not reliable, or is like cheating on you, you know, like that's the stuff that like, they're not tangible.
Yeah.
You can't post those things. You can't be like, oh, so glad that my man was like there, like listening to me. You can't post, we have great communication.
It doesn't require 100 likes.
That doesn't get likes. It's the like, oh, Gucci bag. Like, those things are
I guarantee you I have a Gucci
not
belt, I don't get 5 likes. I don't understand what's
like,
going on.
yeah.
What is the algorithm? Like, what is going on? No.
It's not being rewarded the same way.
Right. I see everybody else with Gucci belts. You know what I'm
And
saying?
it's like, it skews your perception of priority. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a second. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, for you, expectations, social media.
Me and social media have a very complex relationship. I was in a show, again, Scam Austin, where in the show, your characters would have their own Instagram. And our social media was like, hey, we really want people to believe that, you know, you are the character. And that Kelsey, which was my character's name, Kelsey is real. So they were like, hey, can you like keep your Instagram on private? Like, let's really play up to this facade of like, this is real and like, you're not acting. But in doing that, like the character, Kelsey, was very complex. She was, you know, very insecure. She had, you know, an eating disorder. She had said certain things to certain characters that was not right, and people took offense to it. And in doing so, they believed that me, Shelby, would say that.
The
and
Tariq
would do
effect.
that.
You got the Tariq effect right there.
Yeah, and like, there you go. Oh my gosh, like, how dare you? So I would get like, they would actually find my real Instagram and they would DM me and basically like,
Really?
oh yeah, I would get like, I hope you die. Like,
No.
I hope you catch AIDS. I hope, you know, like, oh yeah. And it would be
Where
really,
did that come from? Like, what
really,
kind of-
oh exactly. I was like, dang, that's out of left field. Of course I'm like,
That was very specific.
very specific. I was like, ooh. And when I was younger, I would screenshot these awful things that people would tell me.
That they meant for a
For
fictional
a
character.
fictional character. But again, it like, I'm still a person. Like, why are you sending this to me? It's not me. And then I mean, I had panic attacks. It was really hard. I didn't want to post. I just didn't want to be on social media. But I also knew as a career in acting,
You have to have one.
you have to have one, and you have to have a following. Because there has been times where like, hey, you're not gonna. Unfortunately, like the role is gonna go to someone who has like
20,000 likes.
yeah, like 1 million followers, because that's 1 million seats in the box office. So it's like I get it, but it also hurts. You know, it's like, oh, that
Well, it doesn't
really
match.
sucks.
It doesn't match talent. You know what I'm saying? Like, if
Yeah.
I'm talented, why should my following dictate what? Because the following's gonna come if my talent is actually displayed.
Yes.
But people don't want results. I mean, they don't want to wait. They want results right
Yes.
now.
Well, and
you
it's
know?
like such a commodification of self,
Yeah.
where, you know, like you're treated like a brand, or like you're just treated like money.
Yeah.
Like, they see like followers.
You
and
are
they're only
a brand.
trying to see like dollar signs, and I think it's so, you have to like separate yourself from that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so hard.
And I mean, it's like that in most careers, you know what I'm saying? Not
Yeah.
only just acting, but, you know, in any career that you're going to have, especially in this time, like, seeing that the pandemic made a lot of people lose a lot of money, where actually a lot of companies are looking at people like their currency. They're trying to build back up money. And so if you're in any type of role, they're just like, it's like, I think that when you guys go to work, you're just like, oh man, like, you know, I'm just here working. But they're like, nah, bro, you just wasted 15 cents worth of spaghetti. I'm like, dude, this is just 15 cents. Well, if you multiply 15 cents by, and I'm just like, dog, like, you know, but it's just like, you know, everything revolves around money nowadays.
Yeah.
It's not nothing about personal, genuine situations. It's not about who the person really is, and it takes away the genuine aspect of results. Like if I can relate to you and I can actually get to know Shelby, I can get to know Luxy, there's a 9 times out of 10 you're going to progress and produce the way that I want you to. If you feel like a pawn or a number, then it's like, oh no, I ain't about to. I mean, I don't have to try hard because you treat me like I'm a number.
Yeah.
And so I hope that like people that are in leadership roles actually watch this. It's like, no, like treat them like people.
Yeah.
Show them that they actually matter, and then you get to the point where you actually need something from it. It's a reciprocation, and not just like a transaction. Like you come to work, you log your hours, you go home.
Yeah.
No, it's not like that, because in this generation, people fight back and they will quit. Like our resumes is year. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, it's 2 jobs. We got 52 of them in 6 months. So it's just like, you know, you're not about to talk to me any kind of way. You're not going to treat me any kind of way. You're not going to, without getting to know me first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it's just something that we have to.
I do think that's like kind of bringing it back to social media. At least there is like connection within that. You know, we've all been able to come together on that.
It's a glimpse though.
Yeah, it's a glimpse, but like at least people can have the opportunity to like share. So like that's like, you know, on the plus side, like yeah, obviously we all use social media. We're all on it. But at least there is like an opportunity for connection. But it is just like it's so limited, and I think depending on the person, so curated. And I have seen friends of mine like literally create like an Instagram persona that they're nothing like. And it's like jarring because I'll be like, hey, like what's going on? This isn't you.
Yeah.
Like it's so
likes.
weird. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, you know, it's a brand, and
Yeah.
that doesn't even get into like brand partnerships when it comes to like being an
What their expectations
influencer.
are, yeah.
And it's like so weird. Sometimes I think about like trying to explain to someone, even like 15 years ago, like, yeah, so there's a brand that sends me like free product in order like for me to like talk about this, and like I get paid like $150 per TikTok that I make for them. Like that's something that I do now, which is weird.
Yeah.
And it feels almost like I'm like giving like a human experience away for like a chunk of money. It's so strange to think about. Or even like as an actor, I feel like, I don't know if you ever feel this way, but I like have just like these existential crises where like I panic because a brand has paid me a certain amount of money to like own my image for a certain amount of time. And like that's crazy to think about. Like they just like own my face for a little bit.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's wild. That's wild. So, you know, switching gears to, you know, this last point, you know, how, if you were to go back or even speak to somebody that was 16 or 14 that was dealing with like expectation anxiety, what would be something that you would tell them as a person in your seat right now?
I think I'm trying to think of like my younger self. Like if she was here, or like, you know, like her, I would probably be like, it's gonna be okay, because, you know, especially with like the social media stuff, when that happened, I was so like, you know, just anxiety. You know, and now I don't really like post anymore, to be honest, because I'm just too scared, and like I'm like, it's weird, you know. And I totally get that. And maybe one day I'll feel better about it. I'll feel better about social media. But I think like it's just gonna get better. And it does take time. And time is very long. But it's gonna be okay. Yeah. Because you really do need it.
Right.
And it's hard to take the pressure off, but coping mechanisms help. And for me, that is like writing and journaling, or like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do my skincare routine now. Like I need to regroup. Just having those coping mechanisms, that way you're not in a bad one.
Right.
And you're getting in your head and you're like thinking awful thoughts.
Yeah.
That's the worst
Yeah, I get that.
that can happen.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be okay is probably like the most prominent one of just like
just breathe.
just like yeah, once again, like when you're so young, it feels like life and death is every moment. But I mean, I wish that I had like the self-confidence that like my 5-year-old self had, because I feel like as a kid I was like,
Carefree,
yes, I'm the smartest, because you also feel like you're allowed to say that, whereas like you're not allowed to say that as an adult, and it's really hard. Like I really struggle with like feeling proud about what I do, because there's always something else I could be doing. There's always someone else doing something more than you.
I've always thought that you put a lot of pressure on yourself just because of the fact of, you know, I mean, I never knew why, But like every time you carry yourself, it's just like, yo, like as I walk, I'm walking with confidence because like this expectation that I have for myself, I need to be successful. I have all these gigs because I need to be successful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I always love that about you just because we kind of carry the same pressure in that fact, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm walking this job and I'm like, I'm going to get to every goal that I expect.
I take ownership for my work in the way that like, this is what I do and it's a reflection of me, right? And I think that a lot of people don't take ownership for their work, and that's like why things slip through the cracks. And I just always put that pressure that like what I do is a reflection of me and it should be good because I want to be successful and I want to be good. But like that can backfire because it's just you're like, well, I can be better. And there's always like, and like having
Self-doubt.
space to improve can also like foster that self-doubt. And I think, you know, when I was a kid or when I was a teenager even, it felt like just like this huge thing, this like huge monstrous thing of like, you have to get up here. And now I'm seeing that like, it's not just like one space. Like there's a bunch of different definitions of success
And everyone gets there
Like-
in their own way.
well, and it's not even like about getting there. I think it's about defining what success is and then like being happy with, not like settling, but just like, okay, if you know, if like you said before, I woke up today and just like making the bed is a definition of success. And like giving myself those small wins will propel me towards the big win, because if I don't ever give myself a win, I'm not gonna get there, I'm gonna burn out.
Right, exactly. Because
And-
you're on 100% on 10 every day, all
Yeah.
day, you know?
So I think that's something that like I wish I had started that journey like mentally earlier.
Yeah.
And just, you know, started forgiving myself and being
How-
like,
how old are
it's
you now?
fine. 24.
Yeah, just
I
stop.
know.
Just stop.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's fine. You got the rest of your life.
And that's like, that's also the
and
thing.
be glad that you actually learning it now, because some people are in their 30s and still ain't figured it out. So,
I
you know what I'm
know.
saying? You are ahead of the game if you actually think about it. You
Yeah.
don't put, again, the pressure. Stop.
There,
Down
yeah,
there.
exactly. Well,
So-
yeah, that's the thing. Like, we're both so young. Like, we're all so young.
I'm old, but
You're not that, but like, no,
I'm old to y'all.
I will
Like,
make
when
fun
I'm-
of you for being old, but like, you're not that old.
yeah.
And
Not that
also,
old.
like, shut up.
I mean, you ain't shit, but you ain't
You're
an
like,
artifact.
you know, like, they have to put you in a home yet. Like, your brain is mostly still there. No, but like, I'm
not
pretty
in the
sure at like
retirement home yet,
14,
baby.
like in my brain at 14, like I died at 30, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's not, you don't, your career isn't over
Hold on, wait a
at
minute.
30.
You died at 30, but your mom lived past 30.
No, but it's like in my brain, I was like, well, if I'm gonna be an actor, I have to like get an award before I'm 30, or like get on a TV
Oh,
show
yeah,
before
yeah.
I'm 30,
All the goals stop at
or
30.
it's never gonna happen,
Yeah.
and I'm useless after I'm
settling
30.
after
I'm
that.
like, okay, first of all, I'm gonna look 14 until I die. Second of all, literally look at me.
That is hilarious.
Second of all, like, oh my God, it's not that deep. And like, third of all, like, I just recently, I feel like, let myself understand that if I want to change my mind about something or pursue something else, I can do that whenever.
Yeah.
You know what pissed me off the other day? This actually happened at work. Someone was like, oh, like, well, you know, girl, I'll tell you who it was after this. Someone was like,
Say it
oh,
on camera.
No.
This is who it is.
You know, I feel like you know.
As soon as you tell the story, I'm gonna be like,
He was like, oh, okay, so you want to be an actor. What are you gonna do when you like age out of that? And I was like, okay, first of all, I have melon, so I'm not gonna age that badly. Second of all, rude? Like, okay, so what? I'll find something else. Like,
Yeah.
I'll do something else. My skills don't disappear when
Also,
I like.
does he not watch TV? Does
I'm
he
like,
not
there
watch
are-
like other movies?
Like,
or...
there
First of all, Olivia Benson's like 83. I'm
was
just
gonna
like,
be like, it's like,
she's been doing that right.
There's older people
Like-
working.
Yeah, that mentality is so toxic, and people love to say that to you when you're an actor. They love to be like, oh, but like once you grow out of this, like what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Because it doesn't stop,
anything,
yeah.
because I have skills.
Yeah. Right. I will say that, you know, as I went, you know, if I was going to give advice to someone I would say to first, evaluate your circle. You know, what I'm saying, your access to your circle. When I was younger, I didn't have the greatest circle. So, when it came to when I felt the need to vent, or if I felt like I needed an outlet, it wasn't like the access was there to, escape. And so if you reevaluate those friends and put you around people that are like-minded, that understand who you are and willing to kind of you guys sacrificing together, make it reciprocal to where you guys are down, you pick them up, I'm gonna pick you up, and we're gonna improve together.
I'm very grateful for you.
Yeah.
You do that for me.
That is a huge notion, and it's hard to think about that when you're 16, 17 years old. You know what I'm saying? You just want to be friends with somebody.
Yeah.
Like when you're in a relationship, I just want to be in a relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
But you have to be intentional with everything that you do, because everything shapes you for everything. You know what I'm saying? The access to your friends leads to results.
But also, you being with friends that didn't push you, you realized that you needed friends that pushed
Well,
you.
especially if it's like
It
very
shaped you in that
toxic.
way.
But if you can maintain those friends the entire time, then now you're just left behind.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
So,
No
and
need
then,
to change.
and then also, again, it's going to be okay. It's fine. It's not the end of the world. If you don't hit a certain goal, you can set another goal.
Yeah.
You can set, attainable goals. And sure, you did not get a Grammy at 30, but you got it at this age. Or if you didn't even get a Grammy, there are other awards to win.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And win those awards, those are just as prestigious as that.
Yeah.
Like, I know many of musicians that, want to, there are many musicians that have not won a Grammy.
And they're
not
still
win a
so
Grammy.
successful.
And everyone, I'm like, they're still selling
Like,
out.
I can name
like,
so many of my favorite artists or like actors that have not been nominated for anything. Like, this is the first year that Kirsten Dunst has been nominated for an Oscar, which blows my mind because I think she's incredible. Right. Like, stuff like that, where I'm like, it's not about that.
Yeah, I'm like, Pedro? To who? I'm like, to who? Damn it. I want to turn right back around. We had like a whole hour moment.